I am the author of Do I Stand Alone, written in the spring of 2024. It was to be my farewell to the world and wanting to pass along what I've been working on in my mind over my life. Since I was living with and raising Christian-educated children, I remained silent in my thoughts over my life. When I was younger, I was open to letting them decide for themselves, so I supported them attending church. My friends and family have no idea that I wrote anything like this. In saying this, I hope you better understand why I wish to remain anonymous and engaged with so many subject matters at once. I had no intent on writing about any of this or the fantasy writing of The Guardians, Grand Council, Star Council, or ES1. It was supposed to be a very simple paragraph for Reddit about believing in God, but not in the way everyone else does. Prior to typing, I knew nothing of free God. It happened spontaneously all at once over the course of a week. My extremely rare form of cancer has a great effect on my endocrine system and an influence on my brain functions. Prior to a major surgical procedure, I found myself in a combination of losing some of my working knowledge, along with short-term memory issues. Post-surgery. It changed yet again, but in a different way. It's almost impossible to describe. I worked with more creative projects than ever before. The way I saw the world and life changed drastically, and it was difficult to process at first. I was able to hide the changes while working through a lifetime of influences, and I struggled with doing anything with what I had written for a while. I lived most of my life in a country and world that seemed to follow a semi-logical path to me at the time. The USA was able to defend its ideals from hardline religious influences and remain mostly open and free. People in general believed in common sense thinking, and the population had enough non- or semi-religious individuals that keep working on scientific advancements, even though they were challenged by the religious every step of the way. That has obviously changed with the emergence of the MAGA movement. This movement is based in rejecting science and replacing that with ideology, be it Christianity or individual ideology. There is a growing movement that is very concerning to those of us that remain in reality and wish to live a logical life. The war against the truth, minorities, poor, and science has been gaining momentum that I never thought possible. I always felt there was a balance that the realists and logical were able to hold against those that choose to live in a world of only their own particular values and beliefs. People point to things like God on our money and national anthem as the intent of our founding fathers, failing to mention they got there by hardline Christians in the mid-1900s. If you look at the history of human civilizations across the entire world and time, you have to accept one undeniable truth. We have always been looking to God or gods for help, security, knowledge, power, and answers. Humans have been searching for ways to comfort and give themselves the answers to what happens after physical life on Earth. Everyone wishes to believe that there is some type of life after death, and we have been dealing with it for thousands of years. Humans have been searching for the divine in every place possible over that same course of time. They would see it in mountains, rivers, volcanoes, animals, and sometimes even a man himself, which has historically been the worst decision of that society. Many of us now know that the divine that created trillions of galaxies is not living on a mountain or river on one tiny planet in the universe, but lacking any knowledge of such as those things. Many of our ancestors absolutely did, and some still do today. I believe the average religious follower still ignores the enormity of the universe. I admit that it can be difficult to truly embrace how large that possibly infinite space is. Whenever someone points at a picturesque landscape on Earth as proof of religious writings about God, I feel like rolling my eyes and say, look out there. Free God made all of this. And you want to sit on your tiny world and think it's all about just you, man, and Earth. So we must understand that there will always be a need to answer these questions, because it's obvious that the majority of us want to believe in something more. I see nothing wrong in that and feel the same way. So how do we rationalize a belief system of a being of power that does not present itself or command us in any real physical or verifiable way? Do we continue these fantastical fables from our ancestors forever, even though none of them are realistic in the slightest? We just close our eyes and wish for them to be true, even though everything around us says it was wrong. Stories that when first told thousands of years ago could absolutely be believed with what they knew at the time. Only now in the past couple hundred years have we been able to answer many of the questions and remove the mysteries with sound science. The young people of today have more real knowledge of the facts and workings of the universe than any humans in history. Do you believe in science? Do you believe in carbon dating, dinosaurs, Neanderthals, civilizations older than 5,000 years, and so much more? We can see early in history that some religions included animal and human sacrifice, and that has rightfully been discarded over time. So comparably, we have made great improvements in our thinking since those times. You must acknowledge that religion has changed throughout time, so in looking at that undeniable fact, with the things science has shown us, is it possible to have faith in God without the centuries of misinformation of the world and the truth of our existence? Can we get away from wanting to consider humans or humanoid forms as God or gods? Can we see the truths that science has shown us and adjust our beliefs to match what we know to be true? If you look at any creationist religion, none of them even acknowledge the known universe or even life in our microscopic universe because they couldn't see it. You would think that among all these conversations with the divine that many claim to have had, including Jesus himself, they would have known at least some of this information, even about our own son. But yet they had it all wrong back then. I have always enjoyed the thought of God and believed that something was the starting point of all there is. All while I was breaking free of my religious bubble, I never wavered in that belief. I was critical of the Bible, but not God in the slightest. And that was a strange place to be in for many years. I just couldn't bring myself to believe the religious writings that we have today. I see way too much of our past beliefs and basically man himself in them. So since we don't have a physical, real divine entity telling us what is wanted, if anything, we need to find a way to balance our existence with logical thinking and get away from these storylines established by these various religions. We can't have a society of half of us just waiting out life to get to the next, just because someone told you that it's true. You need to see what is factual. You are here. You are alive. You are reading this. You can't live your life for the next because you don't know how it will be. Nobody does, and that's a fact. You need to make the most of this life. You are alive right now, so you have already been given the ultimate prize from the process that free God began. You need to find joy in that fact alone to start. You should not live your life in service to a possible second shot at the miracle of life that a man has told you about. You need to get as much as you can out of the life you have right now. If you live a life of suffering, don't sit in prayer waiting for help. You need to do what it takes to help yourself. Don't listen to those that say you just get through this life and keep the faith, then you will be rewarded in the next. If you didn't have that faith, you would probably work harder to change your life or circumstances to make it the way you want to live. This is your chance now, not the next time. Don't waste your life dwelling or working towards your death. There is no planning your afterlife. Live a life that makes you happy, a kind and thoughtful, caring life towards yourself, others, and this universe that was made for you. You know that you will make some missteps as long as you learn from them. The goal of life should be to live a life of honor and kindness towards others that you would be proud to present. If you're looking for a possible bonus in the afterlife, maybe you could be proud of the way you treated the earth or world that free God made possible for all life. Stop living a life of thinking you are on a God-given pedestal and all other life forms are below you. We only now have learned what we are doing that hurts our planet, and I believe that we should hold ourselves responsible for what we do to it. So I had to find a way to believe in God without religion. I wanted to believe in a God that created everything there is. I wanted to see a true miracle that showed a God's power to me. I was eventually able to find it in science itself. I truly believe, because of current scientific understanding of the workings of the universe and its expansion, that there must be a starting point, and that it may have been started by one form of power we can't comprehend. Yet, remember that all of religion and even free God is just a belief. I can't prove it, but neither can anyone else about their belief system. So I just ask you, which one is more believable, given the knowledge we now have? What makes more sense and maybe could work for you in your life and how you want to live your life? It may not have the shiny bells and whistles other faiths have, but you know that they are all overselling their beliefs. It took a lifetime, but I found a faith that works for me, and I want to tell you about it before I'm gone. The thing I was always missing in my belief of God is a visualization of how, what, and when, because I knew it did not start with Earth or us. Then came Free God, and it completed the journey for me. I had a belief that made sense to me, and I could stand behind. I never would have thought that science itself would help me find answers to questions about faith. I have to tell you, this past year has been so enlightening to me. Since I have had Free God, it has been continuously building in me. I know that may sound strange since I wrote it, but this is as new to me as to you. I have had it for just a little longer than you. If it takes hold in you, I hope you can experience the same feelings I do eventually. Even though I'm facing the end of my life soon, I am so solid and happy in my belief. It's amazing to me, even though I'm not envisioning living forever with golden roads and pearly gates. I'm more secure in trusting something that I truly believe, even though I don't know exactly what it is or what it will be like. Obviously, this knowledge is not meant for us to know, and that is so difficult for some to accept. We have a world full of different visions that can sound wonderful while not making sense or matching up with reality. I feel like I can see everything in the world for what it truly is, and not what others want you and me to believe. It is not easy, though. We have been programmed in a way since birth to trust our life to a being that is always watching and whispers in your mind. You are told you are protected, and if you do die, it will be great for you if you obeyed their rules while alive. For many, that comfort they have developed over a lifetime can be a difficult feeling to give up. They want to believe they will live forever somewhere just as here on Earth, but with their new heavenly body that never deteriorates. And there would be absolutely nothing wrong with that if that is where it ended. But it doesn't. Instead, we have belief systems that heavily conflict with each other to the point of man killing man over them continuously for centuries. The religious always strive to want to live in a world where their belief is the only one, and we all follow the same rules. Where just the sight of your lifestyle enrages their judgment instincts and their drive to live in a world that you are forced into thinking and living your life the way they want you to. We see this across most belief systems we have today. Our real history is filled with the blood of man over religious beliefs, and I see no end in sight unless we can find something that does not require you to live a certain way and reward those that try to control the masses with their beliefs. One of the worst things I see is the obsession that many believers have about certain places and structures as holy. We run into real problems when people can no longer access their particular shrine because its location is controlled by others, so we have wars over holy lands and structures. Imagine a world that no longer holds one certain place as holy. The entire earth was made by the same power, so why is one area more important than another? Is going back to where we started in looking for God in mountains and rivers. The fact that we literally kill each other over control of these places is not going to serve us well in the future. So where or what are you going to pick on the moon or Mars as your holy spot without a big old book to point the way? Since a person living in these places is not covered in these books, I just can't imagine how they're going to make this leap. We know we are going to have people, if not living, staying long periods of time on other planets, possibly in your lifetime. How does those realities fit with these books that supposedly tell us exactly what our future is, including people and timetables? So, tell me how a truly religious person will even handle living on another planet? They can't take all these attachments to structures and places to Mars or beyond. A new world needs to break these attachments based on religious old beliefs. If we were able to stop human sacrifice for religion, we can do this. We need a new belief system that does not tie everything to a place on Earth for many reasons. I want the believers in God to feel comfortable no matter where they are in relation to Earth. We don't want believers on Mars to think spiritually they have to get back to Earth for their belief system to be complete. If we don't break free of these attachments, how are we going to travel in space with those believers? We are not going to be able to take their shrines on the road, and the faith leaders have made them so dependent on these structures, so dependent that they will kill for having access or to live near them. So you see how a new world needs a new way to deal with many traditions that are ingrained in our culture. It will take time, but we must take that first step. Many like to claim that religion is for the stupid or ignorant, but we know that is not true at all. There are a significant amount of intelligent people that practice religion, so I see it more as a question of fear of the unknown more than intelligence. Be it a fear of death, diseases, droughts, floods, and much more in life. From the beginning of civilization, we have pointed to gods for everything that scares us and blame everything on his or their perceived anger with us. We are always being punished for one thing or another, like how they attacked AIDS as a holy intervention when it first hit because of who was dying. So in that aspect, free God will require you to accept responsibility for what happens in your life, and it's not up to a cosmic game of control or chance. Then you must trust in free God, and that everything will be as it should be in death. You can't do anything about death. It's going to happen, like it or not. So there is no sense in worrying or trying to game the process with all these stories from man that has changed constantly from the beginning. If you look into our past, we really were not a peaceful species. Man has been brutal against man for a long time. Even today, we find those that just can't live a peaceful life unless it is exactly what they envisioned. Anything different or anyone different is immediately judged by maybe their beliefs, and if not the same, you will then feel free to take their lands or even lives, while maybe referring them to godless creatures. The minute a religious man starts referring you to a creature, that is a bad sign. They are then mentally preparing themselves to go against their perceived nature and begin to feel like their God has empowered them to do what they will with you and suffer no religious guilt. We have seen this play out again and again in history in relation to religious men owning slaves to the religious society's participation in colonialism. If you look at any depictions from our history, you will always see a priest or other faith leader on the ships carting the conquerors of the New World. They tend to carry their moral high ground with them during their assaults. They are not breaking any rules of morality if they consider you less than a man like all the other creatures on earth that their teachings have God, giving them dominion over. I know this gets into upsetting thoughts, but we need to open our eyes to see the big picture of our history and not through religious goggles. We still have people today with those same desires as those long gone. It does not matter if we end up traveling to new worlds or not. We need to see these men for what they want and how they talk others into joining them. Some might see this as being anti-God, but I see myself as the ultimate believer of God in being the true creator of the universe and all there is. Let's trust the power that allowed for our creation and its plan for once we die. There is obviously nothing we can do to stop it, so trust in the creation. Let's consider that possibility, and I think it could be more enjoyable of a story to live life by than some Judgment Day plot. There are a lot of possibilities out there, and who knows what we will eventually find. The thought of traveling in free God's universe and beholding the breathtaking things we will see is pretty cool motivation factor, I think, for just about any society. There should be unlimited resources and possibilities for profit, along with advancements for our businesses as well. I don't see free God as someone that I constantly ask things of. I ask for nothing and expect nothing in return. I see how I should be happy just for the experience of living, with the good and bad of it all. To see that this chance at life is the prize that you already won. I want you to realize that belief in free God is not only the free will they like to talk about, but a gift of free life that you already have in your hands. If you can't believe in free God where you are, then try a new place. If there are those that hold you down, then do what you can to create change, so the ones that come after you can have the choices you wanted. It was hard to stop myself at just religion, so I didn't, in writing Do I Stand Alone, I did include my thoughts on a variety of subjects. Some of it is just common sense, and the rest is because it's hard to turn off dad mode sometimes. And I really do want our future children to live a wonderful life. I do not look for you to agree on all my thoughts. I understand I don't see the world like most people. I realize that the political right will see me as a liberal, but the reality is that I want the political left to carry us into the future, only to sacrifice itself in order to bring forth the new majority created by CFSV. I trust the true majority of every voter to decide the important things we live with. I can only hope that we can have a trustworthy source of knowledge that can guide our decisions with factual science leading the way. And not the profits of a few people. I know if it ever did come to happen, it will take some time to work out the kinks, but I trust the majority will find a way that works. I'm sorry, but if 75% of the people don't want what you want, that is the way it is. If you feel your way is better, then you need to prove it and get the voters to agree. You can no longer pay a politician to get your way. We need to fix policing and our incarceration system now. I know we will not have the guardians anytime soon, but we could at least have real-time observers of all the police cameras by neutral, educated third parties. I know to start we can't watch everyone's feed, but the monitoring starts as random and absolutely unknown to the officers. They will never know if they are being watched real-time, and their cameras do not have a power off or mute button. You are our employees. The public has the right to see everything you do in dealing with our citizens. An observer should have the ability to flag suspected behaviors real-time for immediate review by upper authorities in the departments. We are just now entering a time of all these things being technically possible. We can improve everything from voting to policing with our new technology advancements. We have seen the horrible rise in the cost of housing, and I believe strongly in home ownership, along with the financial and emotional stability it provides. The mortgage insurance industry needs to go away. The cost of homes has become too high in relation to wages. And for the average buyer to be paying for that corrupt system any longer, the government needs to find a solution. Yeah, I'm open-minded on drugs because I see the hypocritical thinking of many in relation to alcohol. I see alcohol as one of the worst drugs for bringing out violent behaviors. If you're barely able to control your anger in life when sober, that filter often disappears with alcohol. We need to, just like alcohol, regulate various drugs for the citizens, but like alcohol in regulating it, make sure it is what they say it is, and not some poison made in a backroom dirty lab that will kill someone. Cities like Amsterdam have had liberal laws for various drugs and they have not suffered at all. I bet their crime rates are lower than ours in some categories. There is much more, but if I keep going, I'm going to have another book soon, and I'm not going to burden you with even more of my thinking. I understand it's not for everyone. In reality, I know I'm not going to be liked by just about anyone, actually. Everyone from the religious, atheists, politicians, business owners, criminals, gun enthusiasts, health insurance companies, lawyers, and many more will find fault with me, and I realize that. I know we are still a long way from a lightsaber, but the fact is that we have suffered from gun violence because of what was written 200 years ago, when today's weapons could not even be imagined. The next set of laws designed to keep us all from harm need to remain flexible so we can react to advancements in technology quicker than a couple centuries. This is especially true in this new lying, fake news, and anti-science world that MAGA thrives in. Change in thinking can be difficult for some. I know that many people do struggle for answers about religion, and I just want to open your mind to new possibilities that nobody else is going to suggest because there is no power or money in it for them in some cases. There is no money to be made for anyone with belief in free God, except maybe the monetizing of social media influencers that support the brief. That's fine. It's just a simple belief system that requires no daily or weekly action or obligations on your part. Religion does not need your money, just the men running it do, even though they claim to help the poor with it. As we can see from history, the poor can have what is left after the expensive ornate robes, gold-covered symbols, towering cathedrals, private jets, and the exclusive lifestyle that many faith leaders enjoy. There are no buildings or people making a living off the free God belief system like we have today. It's not necessary. There is no representation looking for power or a tax-free lifestyle from governments or the people. It is the truly open-source belief systems that nobody can claim dominion of, and for no reason other than free God making a physical appearance should change at all in future years. I believe that free God could be the belief system of the future and live its life online. Instead of churches, it is driven by social media and its influencers, and is universally followed across the earth as the uniting belief we need to bring the world together in our exploration of the universe. I hope that everyone sees the common goal and end our borders when we step to the stars. Having one common belief system that unites those across the world with realistic and logical paths for people's lives. To pull together for the sake of the earth at its greatest time of need in our existence. We can hold a piece of your homeland history, but must be willing to start a new path that I hope you will find a lot of support for. if it can grow? That is the question. Can it survive and bloom on its own with the power of the information age? And will that be enough to sustain it? Only time can tell. Hopefully those that feel strongly about living in a world with a belief system that holds saving all life as its commitment is motivated enough to use their social media voice to support others to believe. It only takes a committed few to start a new world movement. There was a part I removed about Israel because of the hotbed of issues there currently. I didn't want to post that part, but I'm sure you can imagine my thoughts on an occupation based 100% in religion that has so much death associated with it. I will tell you that one part involved every single weapon and bullet supplied by the USA being recalled immediately. We all know that these writings will be attacked viscously by all the religious institutions. They will never want to give up the power they have achieved. Some police will not want to be watched while working. Many will continue to criticize someone for smoking cannabis or doing another drug while taking another sip of their beer or wine, while maybe discussing plans for after church on Sunday. There is nothing wrong with drinking alcohol, just as long as you don't feel as if you're immune from being called a drug user. I just want to bring a sense of truth, logic, and acceptance to something I feel endangers our future in so many ways. I want you to see the dangers of the most powerful nation in the world being seized by hardline Christian groups. We already have had a world war, in part because of those people. We don't need to repeat what happened back then, and I don't think life on Earth will survive it. I want a better life for every single woman on this planet. None of you deserved what organized religion around the world has done to you in your life and the lives of women for centuries now. You are not a divine afterthought from a man's rib and the base of sin. I don't know if anyone will find this video before I'm gone, but I hope that it is able to remain up for those to find. I have no intentions on checking back on them, so please just comment to others, as I won't be seeing anything you wrote. I feel I should just leave them alone to work for themselves. My part is over. I know that I wrote this original Free God before the recent elections, and even though I could update it now, I believe the writings might be special, so I should not change them much. I leave them behind the times. When MAGA was so successful in the last elections, I was very troubled at first. I didn't know how Free God could ever have a chance. Then I saw that maybe this is exactly the way it was meant to happen. If we didn't have this big event that shook so many things up, we probably would never have gotten the drive necessary to break the 50-50th hold our government has been stuck in for a long time. With MAGA making so many extreme changes, this opens the door to the huge changes it would take to bring CFSV into reality. MAGA has broken the ice on major changes, so the financial markets will hopefully remain stable through the restructuring of the voting system and other changes we need to make about the money, term limits, and its influence in our politics. Maybe the world becoming so illogical and anti-science when following science is most critical for the Earth is the purposeful event and part of a bigger cosmic plan. This could be a well-timed change in religious values and science in the Earth's greatest time of need. We need to shock the world awake, and maybe this is the inspiration and roadmap for some of that change.